shoot, I said that you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs slide. Fast talker, no riddling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much make it a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's the man with king? No response to the saying, advancing the line, advancing the payment. You front the game and shoot, what said that you claim?
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings. Welcome to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. It's Tuesday, right? And we gave you some Game Pass Tuesday. I'm going to talk about all that other stuff that you're going to see for Game Pass Tuesday. And we're getting back into the swing of things. The holidays has happened. Cyber Monday has passed. Let me know what you purchased for Cyber Monday. Did you get anything good? Did you, or not? Or are you holding out that you think maybe the real deal start this week? I heard a lot of people saying that stuff too. But let's get into these topics. We're a little light. You know, everybody is still dragging butt, you know, from the holidays, you know, dragging butt and dragging gut because they was eating a lot of food, you know. But let's get into these topics. Let's see what it's about. What is surely becoming one of my new best developers and publishers, Pearl Abyss. We got to get into this right now. This hit the desk today, and we're going to talk about it. Pearl Abyss announces Black Desert console native builds for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S. Pearl Abyss, the developer and publisher of Black Desert, has announced that they're officially developing native builds of the game for the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation 5 Pro, and Xbox Series X and X. These native builds will offer enhanced visuals, smoother gameplay, and much-needed performance upgrades to make sure that the game runs smoothly and is tailored to next-generation consoles, or this generation consoles. The update will be free for all current Black Desert console players. If you prefer to get your news in the form of video, hold on. Yeah, and that's about it. All right, so that information there is brought to you by Pearl Abyss. They are not playing, especially when it comes to this game. They did not take the bag to lock the game away only on a PlayStation console, and these guys are going all out. Hopefully, these are one of the people that takes advantage of the PlayStation 5 Pro and really puts it through its paces. I see a lot of people having issues with it. I think the expectations when it came to the PlayStation 5 Pro was way too high. You know, people was talking stupidness like 4090 and all that other stuff. All the stuff that I got out of my PlayStation 5 Pro, I expected, and that's what I was looking for. I have the display units that are capable of doing so. I've always had the display units, and that was why my Series X had always shined the way it does, and especially when I hook it up to my PC. The refresh rate on my monitor here is I think it's at 240 hertz. It's ridiculous. And I run at very high frames and with G-Sync enabled and stuff like that. So my games look really, really good when I'm running it, especially off the monitor and when I'm running it on my television. So again, a lot of people was looking for so many things out of these things, and I love the fact that the developer is taking this in mind, going back and doing native builds, because those builds was patchwork for PC all across the boards. So now that you have a native build of a game that is built from the ground up on these consoles, now we can see exactly what Black Desert is about. And you know, I played it early on. I think I'm just going to, you know, give it a go once the native build comes out and see what I do. But, you know, I'm a Fortnite head, so I don't know how long that's going to last. I'm going to keep it real with you. I want y'all to be keenly aware of what's going on in this space where Microsoft is not making a commitment to a lot of chip manufacturers, but also throwing money all over the place. They gave money to AMD. They're in bed with AMD. They gave money to Intel. Don't forget that they gave money to OpenAI. So now a lot of things is happening with OpenAI, but I'm going to talk about Intel today. The stuff that I'm going to talk about with Intel today is Intel today talked about Battlemage, their graphics card that they're about to drop. Right now, Intel announces the new Battlemage graphics cards, and they might just be the 1440p budget champions we've been waiting for. The Intel officially announced that its latest graphics cards on this week, that Intel Arc B3 B580 and Intel Arc B570 based on the next-gen Xe2 graphics architecture, are targeting the budget gaming segment. The new flagship Intel Arc GPU features 20 Xe cores and 20 ray tracing units, 160 XMI AI engines, and 12 gigs of GDDR6 memory with 192-bit memory interface, specs that could make it very competitive for 1440p graphics card. Now, Intel Arc, meanwhile, features 18 cores. That's the lower model end of it. What might be even more compelling for gamers right now, though, is the launch price. The two cards with the Intel reference cards debuting at $249, about 195 pounds, and Aussies, you guys, man, get it rough, with 385 and 219, about 175 and 340 respectively. Though the third party's cards from Acer, Ace Rock, Gunner, and others will vary in price. The Arc B580 will launch first on December 13th, with the Arc B570 going on sale following month in January 16th. Now, I want to know if any of you guys are interested. I know that you have your mainstays. I know that you're looking for NVIDIA, and I understand that you're looking at AMD. I myself have AMD inside my NZXT. And I want to know your thoughts on it. Will you build a smaller rig for 1440p competitive console, console-like experience? Now it goes into the graphics drivers, right? Are the drivers as robust as it needs to be? All it has to do is hit the milestones that they're talking about and do it efficiently at a frame rate that keeps pace. And that changes what we see going forward. What competitors are looking for. That $15 billion from Microsoft, I don't know what that turns into. Does that turn into this is the GPU for the docking of the handheld? The handheld in walk around mode is 1080p, and then you dock it up, you have this GPU, and this GPU takes it to 1440p and pushes it to levels with AI upscaling, you know, like with a piston in the box. What does that actually do? What really does it turn into? We have a new competitor on the scene. We are at the precipice of a new breakthrough. The economy is crashing in upon itself, and Intel has stepped up to facilitate your gaming needs. I'm so curious at the benchmarks for this budget-friendly, affordable 1440p GPU. It's very refreshing sometimes when you get a chance to see a former CEO or CEO talk about the hardships or whatever that transpired during the period of time where you thought they were up against it. And sometimes we make assessments and assumptions from the outside. You know, we're not in the trenches with these guys, and these guys go to bat and go to war every day for the consoles that they do care about and, you know, that they are working for. A lot of times we take it for granted that these individuals are just humans. And I got a chance to, I love the new Sean Layden. I guess Sean Layden out from under Sony, having the hard conversations and having the frank conversations about where they were as a company, where they were as a manufacturer, when they were up against Microsoft in the PlayStation 3 era. So, you know, it was just this right here that caught my eye. And, you know, ex-PlayStation boss admits Sony was lucky and happy to have survived the PlayStation 3 era. Former Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Sean Layden thinks the PlayStation was lucky and happy to have survived the PlayStation 3 era. The company's third-generation console, was disappointed in its sales after it hit the market in 2006, reaching roughly 87 million units sold compared to the PlayStation 2's 160. Basically almost half. And, now Sean and Layden has admitted that the company's division was lucky to have made it through that generation and found its footing again with the PlayStation 4. Speaking of Eurogamer, Layden, who was at the company from 1996 to 2019, said the PlayStation 3 was Sony's Icarus moment. We had the PlayStation 1, we had the PlayStation 2, and now we were building a supercomputer. And, I always felt that was what it was. I always felt that it was a supercomputer. And, we're going to put Linux on it, and we were going to do all these sort of things. We flew too close to the sun, and we were lucky and happy to have survived the experience. But what it taught us was a lot. And going to the PlayStation 4, we learned things like buy it, don't build it. If you can manage the cost better. You can argue with vendors better on deals instead of building your own thing. In a sense, I think that's cool, and that's coming from him with all the experience. But I also thought the PlayStation 3 was probably their moment, their largest moment. You had the Blu-ray, you had everything in the blocks, you had the cell processor. I thought the PlayStation 3 was Sony's most ambitious. And he's talking about it from the standpoint of the distributor, the manufacturer, the company. I'm coming from the standpoint of the consumer, and I think that PlayStation 3 offered me so much. It's so much so on, the new custom thing that you're able to do with your PlayStations right now, so much so that I put my PlayStation to PlayStation 3. I thought that was my best era, to be honest with you. I do like PlayStation 2 a lot, but I thought the PlayStation 3 was the best era. But, let's get back to it. And going to the PlayStation 4, we learned a lot of things. The businessman who now heads up Tencent Games added PlayStation 3's lackluster reception and complicated development process had taught Sony to focus solely on gaming experience for its predecessor, what ultimately allowed the console to outsell Microsoft Xbox One. That and Microsoft made a lot of TV situations. They were feeling themselves. The same way the PlayStation 2 was feeling itself going into the PlayStation 3, the Xbox One was feeling themselves going from the 360 to the Xbox One. They gave you, what was that? They put the Kinect in the box, and they thought by putting the Kinect in the box, we were going to be this outstanding device. And I was opposed to putting that Kinect in the box. I was like, yo, let people buy it. Oh, if you're going to put it in the box, put it in the box at a loss. They didn't want to pass that loss off. So, Layden explained, we also learned that the center of the machine has to be gaming. It's not whether I can stream movies or play music, can I order pizzas while I'm watching TV and play. No, just make a game machine and make it the best game machine of all time. I think that's what really made the difference. When PlayStation 4 came out, it was us against Xbox and was trying to do, and Microsoft wanted to build more of a multimedia experience, and we just wanted to build a kick-ass game machine. And to be all honest with you, at the end of the day, it was the right people in the right spaces at the right times. Microsoft got rid of Donnie, which probably almost ultimately got sunk Xbox. And with good course, he definitely had to go, right? But I thought Sean Layden and these guys did such a wonderful job with writing the ship. Now, I don't agree with Mark Cerny, and you will never get me to agree with Mark Cerny. Ken Katarugi, the father of the PlayStation, the innovator, the man with the foresight, the intuitiveness. that's sorely missing, from them. People never really, ask me, yo, King, why do I have a problem with PlayStation? Besides the toxic fan base, which I really can't stand them at all. But it's just not the guys that I remember. And I will always remember Sean for the fight that he has in him. And he's still fighting for the PlayStation now. Like, once something is your baby, you're going to still fight for it, because he's sending that game and I think that game is going to outdo Horizon Zero Dawn franchise. I forgot the name of it, but it's a 10-cent game. Open world, looked like it got robot dinosaurs or whatever to the same effect. But I think that game is going to outsell and outperform Horizon. But you guys let me know what y'all think. Today's information is chock full of stuff that I never knew was true. Like, I didn't know anything about this, but history could have been completely different. And I kind of think that's why Sony and Nintendo was going to do the Nintendo PlayStation thing. Excuse me. And me personally, now I'm understanding, a little bit more about that collaboration and what they wanted done with that. To be honest with you, I thought that was a done deal and it was all on Nintendo's behalf with certain things. But I know now why Sony was pushing so hard in that area. Well, check this out. This hit the desk today, right? So check it out. All right. So PlayStation history could have been much different, as Sony refused to put its name on a console. 30 years ago, which was a long time ago, 3 decades, Sony has been a fundamental actor in the video game industry. What began with a console and arrived in the middle of the war between Sega and Nintendo has ended up becoming one of the main competitors in the industry. But executives didn't always have faith in the product. Sean Layden, former president of Sony Interactive Entertainment of America, has revealed that the board considered the possibility of not placing Sony's name on the console. PlayStation feared that the failure in the middle of the war between Nintendo and Sega. So they thought they was actually going to lose this. And I honestly thought the machine was probably the better of the three. I'm not going to lie to you. When I got a chance to see those E3s and I got a chance to look at this and see what they were offering compared to the competitors, of course, I was a Sega dude. And, it's so weird how we pick who we like the most. And I was a weird flip-flopper, right? Always had I'm always going to root for the underdog. I don't know. I'm built like that. So my thing was turbo graphics. And, these dudes is not even going to acknowledge that they were in the fight with Nintendo and Sega. But at the end of the day, that's where I hung my hat, right? And I was constantly in import scene when I found out NEC was huge in Japan, and being a person that love the Japanese culture, that was one of my deciding factors in who I thought was winning. I was delusional as hell. But at the end of the day, when they showed me the PlayStation stuff, I was all on. I was all aboard. It was, one of the best, if not greatest, tech demos that I saw. Like the duck demos. It was just so many different things that they did that were so innovative, and it was so cool. And I think we lose that now, to be honest with you. But like, let's get back to it, right? So they said so. I remember being in the mid '94 before launch, standing in the boardroom playing Ridge Racer and thinking, "Oh my God, this is going to be amazing." But with Sony, I think the good part of management at the time did not take it so seriously. They thought, oh God, Sega and Nintendo control this video game industry. Do you think Sony is going to come in and divide into a 3-piece pie? It was a fool's errand. I think some even called it back then. But Sony president at the time, Norio Ogaga-san. I remember him. Wow. Was a believer. It was good that you had people that believed into the product. A lot of people thought we were taking on a risk, and it was a struggle to have the Sony name on the machine, that they didn't want to, be associated with that. Finally the plan was, it could not otherwise be postponed to the point where, the indivisible element of the PlayStation brand, the game division grew to become a financial lung in the coffers of the Japanese. With its best and worst moments, PlayStation, is in the place it is thanks to the most powerful catalog and pieces of hardware dedicated to video games, main pillar. He said it best, with that whole aspect of it. I can't hold you. I thought that, Sony themselves brought a huge amount to the space, right? And when they did bring this stuff to the space, it was a welcoming eye. They brought what I thought Sony brought, opposite of what Nintendo and Sega had. They brought the movie element to it, right? Their games felt like it embraced the flair of the dramatic, the movie element of it, what it was to be a showman. So a lot of those games did that. They tried to show you some heart, and wasn't just all about how we felt as video gamers, right? It took it to the next level. It took it to where we thought gaming should be. And I will always give Sony their props for doing that in that space. I always felt that Sony understood the adult in the room, opposed to, just the kids. They took certain things and made it more grown up for us. And I can understand people attachment to the machine. I can understand people attachment to the box. Me personally, my attachments to it is the fight that they had, because again, remember, I told you I love an underdog, and they were the ultimate underdog when it came to Sega and Nintendo, two established entities in the space. Sega was fighting within, and Nintendo was always going to innovate. Sony was just trying to exist. And by trying to exist, they made the games that people were asking for at a time that we needed it. So I'm not going to tell you that they didn't have an impact on me as a gamer. They had a huge impact on me as a gamer. But at the same time, I want to know your opinion and what you think about when it comes to Sony and what it all means to you. Now, I know, a lot of you Xbox dudes, and I never advocate for stopping your fun. You're never going to hear me tell you, oh man, don't go buy this or don't go buy that. Whatever is your fun and whatever is your pleasure, long as it's not harming no one and harming yourself, go out and do so. Go partake, because at the end of the day, you have just a limited amount of time on this little ball, unless you believe the earth is flat, one of the two. But you just have a limited amount of time. And what I tell you is game as hard as you possibly can, but enjoy yourself and try to be kind as much as possible. But again, Sony did bring to this space what was sorely needed. And that's the reason why they had to stay in power. That's the reason why they were able to withstand the PlayStation 3's issues. But again, I'm back on the train with an underdog, and my heart bleeds for Xbox, and it bleeds green. And, Sony is no longer the same people in the building. So it's a real nostalgic moment to look back and to see all the people that were there, that helped shape and mold the gaming industry. And I can understand why some people, those gray bits, you guys like me, I can understand why your fandom is what it is. I can't understand the younger crowd, but I can understand you guys. So Xbox and Microsoft has released the December Game Pass games. Now, I don't know if this is just Xbox Now and Xbox Standard lists, because I know games that are releasing that aren't on this list. And it makes me wonder what is really happening here, right? So if you really think about it, something's happening. And normally they just give you the first part and the second part, but listen, I'll let y'all look at it, because to me, it's something's not shaking up here. All right, so Microsoft announces Game Pass December games, and the announcement came headline with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, but also including the likes of Crash Team Racing, Nitro Fueled. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is highly anticipated release from the Wolfenstein Machine Games developers, and the indie's first proper foray into video game space. Didn't they have Indiana Jones on the Super NES? Don't get me wrong, I could be wrong. Players are tasked with uncovering the histories of the greatest mysteries of the first-person single-player adventure, and arrives day one on December 9th. Now, only thing I can say is I'm playing it, right? Listen, let me tell you something. I'm not breaking NDA or anything, and that's something I would, love to do, but I'm not going to do. All I can tell you is I'm playing it, right? That's all I can say. I can't say anything else, but man, oh man. All right, Crash Team Racing Fuel December 4th, DayZ December 4th, Goat Simulator December 4th. Now that's for now with core. Ultimate and standard is different. Core and standard get some stuff too. Forza Motorsport December 4th. Hontai now and on standard December 4th. Humanity December 4th. EA Sports WRC December 5th. Overthrown December 5th. Indiana Jones December 9th. Wild Frost December 10th. Carry On, I love that game. January 2nd, and Road 96 January 7th. Now I do believe that more stuff will be shown later on as we get further and further along into this thing. But at the end of the day, one can ascertain that this is going to be a good month. With Indiana Jones leading the helm going forward. I know a lot of guys are anticipating games, coming this month, and we got to give Game Pass its props. This month is going to be a big month for Game Pass and what we expect going forward, and the cadence of how Game Pass is going to be, with Indiana Jones kind of leading the charge. Crash Bandicoot getting in there a little bit first, like tomorrow. You guys know for sure tomorrow is going to be that day for Crash Bandicoot. And listen, I'm anticipating it like you guys are anticipating it. So shout out to Game Pass for giving us exactly what we asked for. More games. Well, we have made it. I am super intrigued when it comes to that Intel GPU. The video card is inspiring for them to see the landscape, to understand the stranglehold that NVIDIA has, and the fact that AMD has always brought up the rear when it came to that. But right now they're trying to get into the lower base and just try to occupy that with the skyrocketing costs of GPUs. And I think they are trying to fit in. I want to know the Microsoft angle when it comes to all this thing. PlayStation 6, hashtag no PlayStation 6. You know how we do it over here. We're going to run it up on these bums. They are locked in with NVIDIA, with AMD. And Microsoft has been shrouded in mystery. To be honest with you, I do know that they do have a deal in place with AMD, but that's like a weird kind of deal. I want to know what the deal is into. What are they doing? What's really happening? Because their consoles are closer to actually fruition. They do have an idea of where they're going with it, and it's going to be heavily video game based, not that TV stuff, not that multitasking stuff, but it will do multitasking things. So I think the all-purpose machine that Xbox is trying to produce will definitely push the industry forward and give eyeballs to a whole bunch of needed things. At the same time, Sony is going to do a dedicated gaming console and kind of pick up the footsteps of Xbox and stuff like that to see what happens. I think those handhelds take off. But we got a chance to see what was releasing inside Game Pass, and I am more than super pleased with all the stuff that's coming out this month. I'm playing an NDA game that I can't talk about. I can just say the name, Indiana Jones. Haha. But at the same time, looking back at all the history of the PlayStation and all the trials and tribulations, I just want Xbox to kill them off. I don't want them to die by themselves in the bushes. No, no, no. You took out my Sega and I need you to die by the boot. Anyway. But, that's my little console warning for today. But if you liked anything that you saw today, if anything was fun to you, please like, follow, and subscribe, hit the notification bell. And there's a super thanks button right there. If you thought this was value to you, hit the super thanks button. Let me know what's up. And members dictate pace. I drop videos daily. A little bit of console war, a lot of facts, a lot of information, and a lot of stuff that you can take with you later on. Remember, always be better than you was yesterday. Because tomorrow's not promised for anyone. So the day that you have is the day that you use. And I'm going to tell you guys, like I always tell you guys, I'm going to take that logo and I'm going to throw it over around Crash Bandicoot. Look at Bella getting ready because she knows when I say play the Game Pass, we up out of here. But I'm going to play that Crash Bandicoot tomorrow because it comes out on the 4th, the Crash Team Racing. And I'm going to tell you, try to play the Game Pass. Bella, cut it out.